What's up, friends? Jeremiah here. And whether you're on the side of Christians who think we should celebrate Christmas or the opposite side, don't you at least wish that this debate would be over already? Aren't you tired of it? Because I am. And while both sides have some solid arguments, in my opinion, all the back and forth is unprofitable. So if we just understood this one thing, it would be easy to move on from this debate. You see, we can all get very passionate about our opinions. I think we first need to admit that. And it's not uncommon to see believers wanting others to believe the same way that they do, believe the same doctrines and teachings that they believe. I understand if it's a core biblical principle that we all need to get some clarity on, but when it's a festival or some kind of celebration and we just teach our opinions, what we end up doing is we teach a do as I do doctrine, where as long as someone is doing what we're doing, we're okay with them, but we'll condemn anyone who doesn't believe or celebrate the festival or doesn't celebrate the festival the way we do. Look around and you'll never find a Christian who, for example, celebrates Christmas and condemns another Christian for celebrating Christmas. And you'll never find a Christian who doesn't celebrate Christmas and is curious as to why other believers don't celebrate. It's like we accept them because they do what we do and we don't question it. But when someone else has a different opinion, then we want to question it. And what we're really doing with this is we're making ourselves the standard. And every single time you make yourself the standard, you miss Jesus. So the one thing I think we need to understand in order to end this debate once and for all has to be based on scripture rather than our opinions. So let's look at what scripture says. Romans 14 verse 5 to 6 says, one person esteems one day above another, another esteems every day alike. Let each be fully convinced in his own mind. He who observes the day observes it to the Lord, and he who does not observe the day to the Lord, he does not observe it. He who eats, eats to the Lord, for he gives God thanks. And he who does not eat, to the Lord he does not eat, and gives God thanks. Romans 14 in context is talking about the celebration of certain festivals and the eating of certain foods, because what was going on is that some people were eating foods offered to idols, but they were eating it with a clear conscience. They saw nothing wrong with it, whereas their other brothers and sisters were like, this food has been offered to idols, to false gods, and you're eating it? Why would you do that? And judging them based on those things. But Paul here is saying, hey, if they're eating it, and you can read later on in the chapter, he says that if they're eating it with a clear conscience, then it's okay for them. If you see something wrong with it, then don't eat. But don't judge them for eating it because they're doing it with a clear conscience. But he also tells those who are eating that they should be mindful of their brothers and sisters. They shouldn't cause them to stumble, because if you influence another person who doesn't have that clear conscience to come and eat that same food, then they are sinning because their conscience is testifying against them, whereas you're okay with it. But this is specifically about food, right? When it comes to the festivals, he just says, if you celebrate it, if you observe the day, observe it. If you don't observe the day, don't observe it. And this could apply to Sabbaths and things like that as well. But the part I love about this passage is when he says, let each one be convinced in his own mind. In other words, and I mean this with all respect, mind your business. Whether you believe in the celebration of Christmas or not, it's okay. Do what you believe is right, but don't impose it on someone else. Let's look at another verse. Colossians chapter 2 verse 15 to 17 says, having disarmed principalities and powers, he made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them in it. So let no one judge you in food or in drink, or regarding a festival or a new moon or Sabbaths, which are a shadow of things to come, but the substance is of Christ. But this is a different letter, but Paul is making the same argument that do not judge each other based on festivals and the celebration of things. But what's different about this one is he bases this conclusion on what Christ has accomplished. In other words, he says Christ defeated the demons and put them to an open shame. So because of this fact, don't let anyone judge you in food or drink or Sabbaths or celebration of festivals, which are a shadow of things to come, but the substance is of Christ. I know another common question is whether Christians should celebrate things like Halloween, and my opinion is no, but again, the verse says that anyone who is celebrating these things should not be judged by us. And things that have to do with darkness or how people see it, like Halloween is a dark day. Even though I was born on Halloween, so was I born on a dark day? No. Every day belongs to God, but certain things are attributed to certain practices and certain days. And that's fine. We can have our opinions on that. However, because Jesus has defeated demons and principalities and all these powers of darkness, people, Christians who celebrate Halloween by dressing up, they're not necessarily partaking in dark acts or dark arts by doing witchcraft and stuff like that. Maybe they're dressing up or giving out candy or doing whatever. If they're observing the day in that regard, do not judge them because of it. Christ has still defeated the demons. You might have your opinion about how demons will interact with them and stuff like that, but they disagree with you. So would you just keep debating and going back and forth? No, we just follow this scripture, follow this principle, and the debate ends. Paul reiterates this point in Colossians 2 verse 20 to 23 when he says, "Therefore, if you died with Christ from the basic principles of the world, why, as though living in the world, do you subject yourselves to regulations? Do not touch, do not taste, do not handle, which all concern things which perish with the using, according to the commandments and doctrines of men. These things indeed have an appearance of wisdom in self-imposed religion, false humility, and neglect of the body, but are of no value against the indulgence of the flesh." Tying these things together, Paul is saying all these rules about don't celebrate this and don't celebrate that and don't go here and don't go there, they look good on the outside. They have an appearance of wisdom, but it's self-imposed religion, and it has no value when it comes to dealing with the flesh, the old patterns of thought of the old man that was crucified with Christ. So why are you imposing your self-imposed religion on someone else? Okay, and if you celebrate Christmas, then don't force someone else to celebrate it, because that's also your self-imposed religion. It's just that you are exercising it in a different way. You might celebrate Christmas religiously. Someone might not celebrate Christmas religiously. They regard it as just another day, whereas you regard it as a day to be celebrated. In either case, let each one be convinced in his own mind. And in all honesty, the people who tend to be more adamant or argumentative about this topic are those who believe that we shouldn't celebrate Christmas. So I want to talk to you guys for a second. Paul says that these things are an exercise in false humility. Now, you may very well mean well. You may be saying something out of a passion, and you're not being falsely humble about it. But this is what it really means. It's a self-imposed religion. And whenever you try to put that on someone else, you are acting like a Pharisee. That's just the truth of it. So just know that you are free to not celebrate Christmas, just like someone else is free to celebrate Christmas. You might not agree with how they're using that freedom, but that's okay. They also don't agree with you. So again, just put the debates aside and be like, okay, cool. You want to celebrate Christmas. It's not a salvation issue. It's not something to bicker and keep going back and forth on. Let's let this thing rest. In my opinion, if we all just had this understanding on both sides, then every question about celebrating Christmas or Easter or Halloween or whatever else would end. It would just end because we have this understanding of freedom and allowing each other to celebrate and be convinced in our own minds. Kindly bless the like button if this video blessed you, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Check out this video right here, and I'll see you next time. God bless you.